We're going to look at system paradigms. We are in the chapter of semantic parsing. The semantic parsing it involves converting the given input, natural language, into a structured representation which can be processed or manipulated or used by a computer. So, when we want to convert this into a computer friendly format, we can take different approaches in different paradigms or different angles based on their structure and how they process the information. Now, let us see three different paradigms in the system. Firstly, we'll talk about system architecture, how they are built, what is the principle or what is the working style of the systems used for semantic parsing. So there are four categories of system architecture. Firstly, we can use the systems which are based on the knowledge, which we call them, which we call knowledge-based systems. Here, these systems are based on the rules, a specific set of rules. So, when we can explicitly list out all the rules, we can use this system. But unfortunately, in many scenarios, we cannot lay out all the rules that will be used for semantic parsing, especially in the natural language. So, these are not used much. Then unsupervised systems where you don't have the labeled data. Here, when we talk about labeling in context of natural language processing, we are talking about annotated data. That means a sentence, its explanation, annotation. So, if, when you don't have any annotated data, we will generate, it will cluster the sentences into particular group, that is unsupervised system. Then thirdly, you know much about supervised systems where we have the labeled data. That means we have manual annotation to understand the meaning of every sentence and every word. That is, so this is widely used, but the problem with this is it requires the human annotated data, which is not available in many languages. And fourthly, the combination of these two, unsupervised and supervised, then that is known as semi-supervised system. These systems they try to balance uh, annotated data, human annotated data from the supervised systems and automatic learning from unsupervised systems. So this is much used in natural language processing. So they use a small amount of human annotated data and they will go on expanding that data. Then the second paradigm, the first paradigm is system architecture. The second paradigm that we are going to see is the scope of a system. How far, what is the scope where it is applicable, the area in which it is applicable. So there are two types of systems in the semantic parsing. One is known as domain dependent system. Another is domain independent system. For example, you are talking about sports language. That is a particular domain in that you have, suppose it is cricket sports, you will have words like cover drive, silly point. Those words they mean different. They may have different meaning when they is used in different domains. So there may be area reservation system, then medical analysis, medical report analysis. If it is a Python programming language, there is a dependent, there is a domain. So they will perform well in a particular domain, but when you want to generalize, their performance is very poor. In this, on the other hand, we have domain-independent systems that are designed to work across different domains with minimum adjustment. So they are more generalized, but sometimes they will be having less efficiency Their performance is a major issue. So they are not as precise as domain specific models. Number three, the coverage, how they are covered. That is another paradigm, coverage, that refers to the depth of meaning representation. How deep we are covering the meaning. So we have seen in the earlier videos that there are two types of parsing: shallow parsing, which recaptures surface level, not so complex surface level semantics, identifying the keywords, entities, simple relations, and it is used in natural language processing applications like search engines, chatbots. On the other hand, we have deep parsing systems, which are highly detailed and domain dependent, structured, complex representation, which can be directly used for reasoning and complex systems. Sometimes, when we require very high level tasks, such as converting text into a logic based query for database formal logic, then we use deep parsing. So, by understanding these system paradigms, what are the three paradigms that we have seen? Architecture, scope, and coverage. In architectures, four categories: knowledge based or rule based, supervised, unsupervised, semi supervised. In scope, we have domain dependent, domain independent. In coverage, shallow parsing and deep parsing. So we should be able to distinguish these two. So by understanding the paradigms, we can choose which approach we can take on for semantic representation or semantic parsing, which is also known as semantic role labeling.